Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're putting on our coaches' hats and cracking the code of a truly exceptional sporting season.
We are.
We're diving deep into the Singapore Table Football League, the SGSTS Premier League for 2025.
Right.
And our mission, really, is to take the final league table, all the narrative notes we have, and the specific match results to just reveal the hidden dynamics that crowned a champion.
And it was a brutal 11-month campaign. We're talking January all the way through to November 2025. And the sources, they give us everything we need. A final tally for all 11 competitors.
Exactly.
This wasn't a season decided by a landslide. I mean, it was decided by millimeters, by tactical genius, and, by those defining head-to-head encounters.
And that's the thing. When we look at the top of the table, the race was so tight, it almost defies belief.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about champions and runners-up, separated by the slimmest of margins. It's a perfect case study in how consistency, not just sheer offensive power, wins the long game.
It really is.
Okay, let's unpack this and maybe start with the final tally. So let's start with the simplest metric points.
Okay, so Rudy Hestey. He's the one who emerged victorious, securing first place with 57 points across all 22 games.
57 points.
And to put his dominance into perspective, his record was 18 wins, 3 draws, and only 1 single loss.
Just 1 loss. That's a near-perfect run over almost a year of competition. It's stunning consistency.
It is.
But the fact that he was so nearly caught by Michael Choong is what makes this season a classic. Michael finished just 2 points behind him.
Just 2 points. He hit 55, and Michael's win record was also phenomenal, 17 victories.
Wow.
But the difference, and this is crucial, it came down to his draw tally. Micah had 4 draws compared to Rudy's 3.
And this is where we really see the title being, being lost.
Exactly. Both players, remarkably, only suffered that 1 single loss all season long.
Right.
So when we're calculating the title, we have to look so intensely at the 7 points Michael dropped versus the 5 points Rudy dropped.
So that 1 extra draw for Michael. A single match where he couldn't turn 1 point into 3.
That cost him the entire league.
It makes you wonder, about the tactical adjustments in those late games.
Sorry.
Were they stalemates or just missed opportunities?
It's hard to say. But beyond points, we have to look at the true measure of dominance, which is goal difference, or GD.
Of course.
Right. And for anyone unfamiliar, GD is just goals scored minus goals conceded. It tells you the margin of a player's dominance.
And Rudy Hestey's was.
He finished with the league's best GD at a colossal plus 55. That's 64 goals scored.
64.
Okay, versus only 9 goals conceded.
Wait, 9. 9 goals conceded over 22 games. That is an unparalleled defensive record. He's allowing a goal less than once every 2 matches.
It's a fortress.
Yeah.
And Michael Choong was right behind him with a GD of plus 51.
Still incredible.
61 goals for, 10 against. So again, tiny margins, but Rudy's superior GD means that even if the points had tied, which they didn't,
Rudy would have clinched it anyway.
most likely, yes. When the top 2 are this close, every single goal just matters so much.
And before we get into the main rivalry, we absolutely have to acknowledge Den Molia. He took the bronze.
Den, yes. He finished 3rd with 50 points. That's 15 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses.
And we need to remember Den, not just as a strong finisher, but because he turns out to be, the ultimate spoiler in this whole season's storyline.
So now let's get away from just the static final table and look at the narrative flow of the season.
Okay.
Because it's important for you to understand that Rudy Hestey's victory,
Yeah.
it was not a foregone conclusion.
Right. It wasn't like he led from the start.
Not at all. The sources confirm that Michael Choong was the one leading the table during the crucial early stages of the competition.
So Michael set the pace. But while he was maintaining that early lead, a completely different story was unfolding just a little lower down the table. We're talking about Bernard Lim, who was described in the source notes as the Juggernaut.
The Juggernaut. I like that.
Yeah, he gained this reputation for just, quote, smacking other players with high scores throughout the entire season.
And, the term juggernaut is statistically verifiable here. Bernard finished 4th overall, 45 points.
A respectable result.
A very respectable result, but what's truly astonishing is his offensive output. Bernard's goals for count was 68.
Wait a minute, 68? He scored more goals than the league champion. More than Rudy.
More than Rudy, who had 64, and more than the runner-up Michael, who had 61. The highest in the entire league.
So the highest scoring player in the entire league finished 4th. How does that even happen?
It's a perfect illustration of the risks you run with pure high-octane offense.
Okay.
Bernard's style was just devastating against the mid to lower table. We have scores like 7-1 versus Tankakwi, a massive 7-0 victory against Vikas.
Just running up the score.
Exactly. But his defensive record tells the other side of the story. He conceded 22 goals.
22 goals conceded. That is more than double the 9 goals conceded by Rudy Hesti.
More than double, yeah.
So Rudy was this definition of defensive efficiency, securing points with minimal risk. Bernard was just high stakes, end-to-end table football.
You've got it. The moment he ran into someone who could absorb that pressure and counter, his whole system broke down.
And this contrast is key to Rudy's championship. Because while Rudy was built on defense, he still had that spectacular offense when he needed it.
He did. We know Rudy had the highest single scoreline of the season, dominating Rizal-Taib 9-0.
9-0.
So Rudy was efficient, Bernard was explosive, and that difference really defined the whole structure of the league.
Okay, this brings us to the most intense part of this deep dive. The actual head-to-head collisions that decided the points. I mean, since the top two were so dominant, the results against each other, and crucially, against the third-place player, Denmulia, they decided everything.
Let's start with the big one, the Titanic clash. Rudy Hesti versus Michael Choong.
You'd expect a goal fest, right? A true winner-take-all battle.
You would, especially with one game being on the final day of the season.
Instead, what did we get?
A complete tactical stalemate. Both games between Rudy and Michael ended 0-0.
0-0, both of them. We saw Rudy 0, Michael 0, and then Michael 0, Rudy 0.
That's right. And what's fascinating here is what that implies.
It suggests they were terrified of each other.
Exactly. They respected the other's defense so much, or maybe just feared defeat so intensely that they prioritized solidity over aggression.
It becomes psychological warfare. Neither player was willing to commit and risk a counterattack.
So the title wasn't won by beating your rival.
It was won by ruthlessly dispatching everyone else.
Yeah.
But that's where the Denmulia factor comes in.
Yes, because Den was the one player who could consistently threaten both of them.
The spoiler.
The ultimate spoiler. Den handed Michael Choong a definitive 1-0 loss. That 3-point swing was painful for Michael.
But the real shocker involved Rudy. I mean, Denmulia delivered Rudy Hesti his only loss of the entire season.
A huge early 3-0 victory for Den.
3-0. That must have been a massive wake-up call for the eventual champion.
A 3-0 loss is not just a statistical blip, that's a tactical dismantling. It shows Rudy's defensive structure, flawless against everyone else, was completely exposed by Den early on.
And this is the strategic pivot. Rudy later avenged that loss.
Yes, he did. He won 1-0 against Den later in the Seder. That successful correction proves the champion's resilience and ability to adapt.
And that revenge match was critical. That 1-0 win secured Rudy 3 points, denied Den points, and kept Rudy firmly ahead of Michael.
And for context, we have to check how the top two did against the juggernaut Bernard Lim.
Right.
Rudy won 4-2 against Bernard, so he outscored the high-risk player while maintaining control.
Okay, and Michael?
Michael also got a crucial 2-1 win against Bernard, though interestingly, another source notes a 0-0 draw between them as well, which just reinforces that the elite players often defaulted to defensive safety against each other.
But if the top players were all canceling each other out, the championship really came down to the slip games.
Yes, the games against mid-table competitors, and Michael Choong had a major one.
The 1-1 draw against Tankakwi.
That's the one. It was labeled simply a slip in the analysis, and that slip is the difference between first and second place.
He lost 2 points in that draw.
2 points. If he had secured a 2-1 victory instead, he would have finished on 57 points, tied with Rudy.
And then it would have gone a goal difference.
Where Rudy's plus 55 versus Michael's plus 51 would have likely still given Rudy the title. But that single mid-table misstep was the definitive moment Michael ceded control.
So, moving away from the absolute pinnacle of the league, let's look at the wider context.
Okay.
Starting in the middle, John Ho, finishing 5th, had a very narrow goal difference of only plus 5. That's 35 goals for, 30 against. What does that tell us about the mid-table?
It tells us it was a grinding fight. You know, John Ho won just enough games, and probably by a single goal margin.
Not running up big scores like Bernard Lim.
Not at all. Nor did he have Rudy's impenetrable defense. He was just consistent enough to stay in the black, which shows you that for most players, success is found in these tightly fought battles.
And you can contrast that with the bottom 3. The goal difference numbers become, well, they're almost abstract in how negative they are.
They're huge.
Yeah.
Rizal-Taib, John Ewe, And Eden Reza finished with GDs of -44, -52, and -58.
The champion's +55 is almost perfectly mirrored by the worst performer's -58. It shows you the immense skill gap in the league.
And this is often the result of those juggernaut scorelines we talked about.
Right.
When Bernard or Rudy hits a 7-0 or a 9-0, it drastically inflates their own GD and just crushes the GD of the bottom teams.
But within that difficulty at the bottom, we find one of the most powerful stories of the season, the narrative of Eden Reza.
Nah, Eden Reza's truly unique.
He's the youngest player in the league, isn't he?
By far, he's only 10 years old.
10. Wow. And facing these seasoned adult competitors, that must have been just brutal.
It was. His record was 1 win, 0 draws, and 21 losses.
21 losses is a long, hard season. But that single victory, that's what defines his entire year. It's the ultimate aha moment of perseverance.
That's exactly right. Eden secured his only victory, his only 3 points, by beating Vikas 1-0.
And Vikas wasn't an easy opponent, right? He finished 9th.
Not at all. Vikas had 20 points. He was a veteran who beat other players. For a 10-year-old to hold a clean sheet and score the decisive goal against an established mid-table player?
In a league dominated by guys with +50 goal differences.
That is the true definition of heart and grit.
You know, that 1-0 result against Vikas is a far more impactful moment than any of the 0-0 draws at the top.
I agree.
It just proves that even when the data suggests these overwhelming gaps, the human element, that one perfect day, can produce a result that defies all statistical expectations.
So at the end of the day, what does this all mean for the SGSTF 2025?
Well, the champion, Rudy Hesti, he wasn't defined by his performance against his direct rival.
Not with those 2 tactical 0-0 stalemates.
Right, but by his incredible consistency and defensive mastery against everyone else. His greatest moment of resilience wasn't a win, but his ability to correct the flaw that led to his only loss, that 3-0 defeat against Denulia.
It's a study in contrasting styles. Rudy's efficiency, conceding just 9 goals, versus Bernard Lim's pure offensive power, scoring 68 goals but failing to consolidate those wins.
And threading through all that statistical dominance and all those tight margins, you have the inspiration of the 10-year-old Eden Reza, showing that sometimes a single 1-0 victory is worth more than a dozen high-score routes.
And I think the takeaway for you listening is how razor-thin the line is between triumph and failure at this elite level.
Yeah.
Considering Michael Choong's early lead, his single loss, the 2 0-0 draws, the whole league hinged on avoiding those external mistakes. Had he managed just 1 goal against Rudy, they would have been tied on points.
But the true killer was that one slip.
That single 1-1 draw against Hancock Wade, that cost him those 2 points, cementing Rudy Hesti's title by the absolute narrowest of margins. A single misplaced flick of the finger halfway through the season dictated the final outcome of the entire championship.